Hello, everyone. This is Victoria Mattia, and you are listening to the Mom Care Coach. So, today is a special episode. Every now and again, I like to have bonus episodes for the podcast where I bridge the gap between the YouTube channel and the podcast. Meaning, if you are listening to me on the podcast right now, then you can actually come over and watch me on the YouTube channel if you want. And it is called the Mom Care Coach. Also, if you're watching me on YouTube, you can go and listen to the podcast, and there are several episodes for you to enjoy. So, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. If this is your first time, thank you so much for coming to check me out. I hope that you're able to learn something and enjoy the material that we have prepared for you today. If you are a longtime listener, then of course I am so thankful that you are here once again enjoying this new episode. And today is a special treat. So, I've kind of dropped hints over the last several episodes. This episode is all about a course. I started toying with the idea of creating a course last year. But, things did not go as planned in 2025. So I was not able to complete that desire, but we are starting again and we are creating a course. The idea is that it will be completed this year, and it will be open to be shared next year. That's my hope and prayer. But who knows? It may be finished sooner as well. So today, I thought it would be kind of fun to understand the framework of it and what is going to be covered on the course. So we already know our 4 intentional needs. These are our pillars. Imagine a house. You are the house. And for any building, and especially a house, we need to have strong pillars. We need to have a strong foundation. Our 4 intentional needs is the foundation. However, there are actually 7 core essentials that will hold up the house. And the reason why I really feel like this is really important for this time now is because for me, when I first started out as an autism mom on this journey, my oldest son was diagnosed at 6 years old. And he had many struggles. He was in preschool for a little while. He had been asked to leave several preschools. And then he started regular school because I was working outside of the home. And he really struggled in that way. And so we decided to homeschool. And even then, at that point, at the beginning of homeschooling, we did not know that he had autism. It wasn't until he was 6, almost 7, like weeks away from being 7 years old, where he was diagnosed. And it had a lot of answers for the questions we had in our hearts and our minds. But at the same time, there were challenges because it gave understanding, but it also helped me understand that I needed to be ready. The fact that he was struggling with sleep and eating issues and behavior and social interactions, it was not a momentary thing. Yes, improvement can be done, especially with so many different therapies and even alternative therapies nowadays, but it wasn't something that was going to magically happen overnight. And so I understood that I needed to be up for the challenge. Problem was, I wasn't because I, had gone so many years without having proper sleep because I was helping him. Not only that, I had another child. They're 2 years apart. When my second baby was born, I had two and under. And so it was new and different. And we knew some changes needed to be made. But at the time, especially as he got older, I really felt like I was drowning. I was exhausted all the time. I did not feel like I was up for any task, whether it was working outside of the home or working inside of the home or parenting. I was just always exhausted and overwhelmed. And it was the lack of sleep, it was the lack of nutrition. I was trained as, a wellness and health coach. I have a certificate in international counseling. I have my degrees in education. And so I understood the science. I understood what I should be doing. What I didn't understand was that I needed to take what I knew I should be doing and put it into place. But starting from a point of being so overwhelmed and exhausted and depleted and feeling like the resources I had to help me, either A, didn't understand how to access them, or B, I didn't feel like they were what I needed was available. And that's why I created my four intentional needs, because I had a desire to build a business, but it's really hard to build a business if you're struggling personally so much. And I knew I needed to kind of start from the bottom. When you feel like everything is falling apart, then you need to start piece by piece to put things back together. One of the biggest resources I struggled with was lack of time. I just never felt like I had enough time to do anything. And I also have ADHD. So it was just a challenge all around. And I had to put my life back together piece by piece while parenting, while working. And I have some notes, and I'm looking at a book as well. And I'm going to just share a little bit with you. And this book, it's by Replenish by Lisa Grace Byrne. She is a phenomenal individual. I do know her personally. And there is a line that she quotes from C.S. Lewis. And it says, C.S. Lewis was once quoted as saying, when you see a man who's drowning, don't stand on the shore and yell to him instructions on how to swim. First, get him out of the water. Then later, perhaps you can teach him how to swim. And that was how I felt. When I received the diagnosis of my son, I already felt like I was drowning because I didn't have the pieces in place in my life to help me. I felt like everything was temporary until we got the diagnosis. I felt like, okay, he is struggling with sleep right now. He's struggling with this. He's struggling with that. We'll get this under control and then we'll be able to move on. Once we got the diagnosis, we realized, okay, this is not temporary. We need to change some things, because I knew that I could help him to be the person he needed to be just through my education background and through the resources I was acquiring for him through therapies and alternative methods and nutrition and supplementation. But I knew I also had to be able to be at my best in order to be able to parent him in the way that he needed, and as my other son needed as well. My other son also has special needs. They are not the same, they are different, but they are significant nonetheless. So I felt like that drowning person, and I needed to get myself out of the water so that I didn't need to know how to swim right then. I needed to get out of the water. So, how do I stop drowning? And that's how we created the four intentional needs. So, the four intentional needs are the foundation. They are the foundation. And we're going to talk about the other three core essentials. So first of all, the four intentional needs: mindset, which gives to a calm mind. The calm mind is one of the core essentials. Movement is joyful movement. We got to move our body because it helps with stress. It helps with mood. It helps with having enough energy to keep going. And joyful movement is the core essential. Okay. And then we also have nutrition. A nourished body is what we're going towards, and that is the core essential. Nutrition is how we get there. So that's the foundation: mindset, movement, nutrition, and the fourth one is sleep. These are all the foundations that is getting us to our core essentials. So remember, I always say that they're tethered together. Okay, so you have a mindset that's tethered to your calm mind, to getting you there. Meaning, if you follow the principles, if you do the steps, you will eventually get there. And you will have evidence as you go day by day. So mindset is tethered to having a calm mind. That's the core essential. Movement to joyful movement. That's the core essential. Sleep, which is tethered to having restorative rest. That is a core essential, restorative rest. And nutrition, which those are the foundations. Nutrition is tethered to having a nourished body, which is the core essential. So those are the four core essentials. So let's talk about them. And then let me introduce the mutants. So a calm mind, it is related to stress. We take in stress through the world, through memories, through thoughts, through individuals, how they speak to us, how they don't speak to us. We can feel their energy, even if they don't say anything. And so we have to be able to calm our bodies down. And we have to be able to do that in ways that are immediate. And to be able to do that no matter where we are at. We can't always be in the middle of an exercise routine. We can't always be listening to calming music. What about if you're in the middle of a conversation and you're feeling overwhelmed? There are breath exercises that you can do immediately. There's essential oils, which affect our olfactory gland, which is in our nose, which connects all the way back to the back of our brain, which helps. That smell can help immediately to calm down when you're not even trying to. That's the great thing about essential oils and the olfactory gland. It helps to immediately calm you down without you trying to say, okay, help me to be calm, without thinking about it. So that's for the calm mind. And of course, there's so much. We will go into that into the course, as well as here on the podcast and on YouTube. We will slowly drip the different areas that we're going to be focusing on. Now, the YouTube channel is different than the podcast. We talk about different things. The YouTube channel is more vlog style, where I'm sitting down in my living room right now. This is the living room / kids room. This is their player area. This huge thing is a massive swing that helps with, it's a part of our occupational therapy that we do in the house. And so it's more of a relaxed, come have a cup of tea and sit down with me. That's what the YouTube channel is about. The podcast is a little more refined and more straight to the point. And so we talk similar things, but we say it in different ways. So different episodes that are on the podcast are generally not on the podcast as well. But like I said, sometimes we will have bonus episodes if I think it is applicable to both areas and really important. So you can, put it in your daily lives. Okay, so that's our first core essential, calm mind. And then the second core essential, actually, I'm going to go on to the third one because that's nourished body. Remember, it's tethered to nutrition, which is that foundation. And the fourth core essential is restorative rest, which is tethered to the foundation of sleep. The fifth core essential is joyful movement, which is tethered to movement. The sixth one, let me start introducing now. So I'm going to go back to the second one. The second one is sovereign thoughts. Now, the reason why they're in a particular order, and I'm kind of going back and forth, I don't want to confuse you, but the reason why is because it is set up in the course in a particular way. And the reason why is because one core essential builds on the other one. That's why it's important to have your foundation. The first one, of course, is the calm mind, but the next one we have, and here's a new one, the sovereign thoughts. That is the second core essential. And the reason why is because that's the next step. When you're able to help your mind to calm it down, then you're able to control what you're thinking about and think about what you're thinking about. Sometimes we can be in survival mode, which happens so often, and we can stay there unless we do something to come out of it, also known as burnout. And for caregivers like autism parents, it's also known as compassion fatigue. And you need to be able to calm yourself down so that you can have sovereign thoughts. And the importance of having sovereign thoughts is so that you're able to think about what you're thinking about, know what it is you're really wanting, and go in the trajectory of the thing you're actually wanting. When you're in survival mode, you're just focusing on getting through the day, getting through the week, getting through the month, and then trying to take a few deep breaths along the way. And when you're able to sit down and think about what you're thinking about, you can think about, are you having negative thoughts playing in your mind all the time? Are you having fearful thoughts playing in your mind all the time, which can be so common as a caregiver? And then thinking about what is it that you actually want. So we can kind of learn how to interrupt those thoughts so that we can actually put things in place so that we can be moving towards our goals. That's why we've spent so much time this year, the past several episodes, talking about goals, intentions, successes in our life. Because if we are not careful, and especially if you are in burnout, compassion fatigue, survival mode, however you identify it as, it's like you're kind of going in a loop in this circle where you're getting up, trying to make it through the day, making sure everyone's fed, keeping everybody safe, going through the week like that, going through the month and going through the year. And then you haven't actually taken the time to sit down and really identify what it is you want out of this year. What are some goals that you have for yourself personally? And maybe even some goals that you have for your child in their therapies, or what would you like to see them do this year? How would you like to encourage them? We are not able to even identify those things if we're not able to think about what we're thinking about and interrupt the loop of negative thoughts and negative thinking. So it's really, really important. So once we are able to calm our mind down, and once we are able to identify the thought life that we have, I even schedule, as a side note, thinking time in my planner. And I encourage all of you to do the same. It is really, really powerful. So once we've done that, we have our nourished body. We're able to think about nutrition. We're able to think about what we want to eat, how we want to feel, what kind of mood we want to have. What do we have now? What would we like to do about that? What kind of foods fuel us and makes us feel good? And what kind of foods, after we've eaten it, kind of weighs us down, lethargic, exhausted, tired, overwhelmed? What kind of, and when you start thinking about that, you're like, wow, okay, when I eat this processed food, I notice that I don't feel so great. However, when I eat this, I feel much better. How can I put more of this in my life than this? And what is the process for that? And what if I accidentally eat something over there? Does that mean this is over? And also, does it mean that Can I put more things in my life that may taste similar to that, but actually is good for me so that I'm not constantly wanting something else that I know is not good for me? We can start thinking about that and then putting those things in place. Okay. The next one, restorative rest. We've talked so much about sleep, but restorative rest isn't just about sleep. It's about taking time throughout the day, understanding what a circadian rhythm is and how we can support that. Having circadian rhythm breaks every 90 minutes, take 5 to 10 minutes where we're sitting down, where we're able to relax, maybe take some deep breaths that can actually recalibrate your day to help you to feel more energized. Having joyful movement, of course, is the next one because that builds. We're going somewhere with our course. We are able to empower ourselves with the education that we need so that we can feel our best. Because when we have systems in our life and routines in our life, when seasons change and seasons are harder than other seasons, our kiddos having a hard time, maybe we're having a health crisis, maybe we're needing to support someone else in our family, these systems and routines will guide and keep us stable and afloat so we don't have to constantly feel like we're drowning in our own life. We are the star player. Our life should not be about putting out fires all day. We want to make our life empowering, encouraging, taking us in the trajectory that we're wanting to go. Okay. Next one, we have anchored quiet. That is our sixth core essential, and this is a new one. We need to find time throughout the day where we can sit and rest and think. We can do this through breath work. Some people do meditation. I mostly just do breath work. Or you can focus on certain things. You can get up a few minutes earlier if it is available and possible for you, just so you can have time to think. Having pauses throughout the day so that you can take back your power. When we have access, when everyone has access to us, rather, our phones, our bosses, our friends, our coworkers, our everybody has access to us 24/7. We don't leave anything just for us. We don't have anything that is prioritized as only for us. We're giving everything out. And if we're not taking time to replenish ourselves, then we're always pouring from an empty cup. I like to say, we're pouring from an empty well and we're bone dry. We don't want to give ourselves out and empty ourselves out to everyone without replenishing ourselves. Yes, we're all busy people. Yes, technology can be very, very helpful and necessary throughout the day. But if everyone has access to you 24/7, what do you have left for yourself? So we're going to talk about that. Anchored quiet is very important. We live in a very noisy world, right? Okay, so the last core essential is authentic connection. And we haven't really spoken about this on the podcast or the YouTube channel. And so authentic connection is about creating a community. And that is why I do have a Mom Care Coach Facebook group. We are going to be changing the title soon. I have not been very active. I'm just now in these past couple months getting back into the groove of everything after the needs of my family, because there were a lot of needs and I did have to put a pause on so many things. So we're getting back into that because I truly feel like authentic connection is really important for all humans, but especially for autism mothers. Now, lean in a little bit and let me tell you the reason why. I have heard when I was a director of an autism clinic, I remember mothers coming in and pouring out their lives and pouring out what's going on at home and sharing. And sometimes later on, they would overshare and they'd come back and say, I'm so sorry I said that. I didn't really mean to say that. I should have said it this way or whatever. And that is something that can happen when you feel like you're very isolated. Sometimes our lives can feel very lonely because not everyone understands our children. Not everyone understands the life that we have and how we are living it. And so it can be very lonely. And when you find a like-minded person, it is very tempting. And I have struggled with this myself to overshare, not on purpose, just because you find a like mind and you want to share and you want to feel connected and feel like, at moments vulnerable. There's nothing wrong with that. However, not every interaction is a healthy interaction for you to overshare in. So it's important for us to have appropriate connections so that we can share to people that understands us. And that can also help us to feel more aligned and at peace because you are living authentically, but also you're doing it in a way that is empowering to you and that can help you to feel safe and seen as well. And those are very important characteristics of just being a human being. You need to at times feel seen, and you also need to feel safe. So I hope that you are getting excited about what this course is going to be like and have an understanding about where we're going on the podcast and the YouTube channel and different. We're going to be talking about these core essentials because we have taken over a year, this last year, to lay the foundation for the pillars because we're the house. And like when you have a house, a lot of times you'll pour the basement. The basement was what? Nutrition, sleep, movement, and mindset. That's your basement. That's your foundation. And from that, you have 7 strong core essentials, okay, which are also pillars because they hold up the house. You're the house. Okay. So these core essentials, as I mentioned before, we have our calm mind, sovereign thoughts, nourished body, restorative rest, joyful movement, anchored quiet, and authentic connection. So we're going to be talking about these core essentials and understanding that the 4 intentional needs are the foundation. That is the beginning. You got to have that. You have to have a place to start, in order to have a calm mind or to be able to have anchored quiet and sovereign thoughts. You got to have a calm mind, before you can have authentic connection. You need to know what to say and how to say it, who to say it to, right? Before you can have more energy through movement, you need to be eating properly too. Now, those two, yes, can go hand in hand, but you cannot, there's a saying, you cannot out exercise a bad diet. You can exercise all day and night, but if you're eating, Cheetos and Twinkies and I don't know what else, things that are just not good for your soda, you're never going to be healthy. That's just impossible. You may feel or look a little bit fit or a lot of it fit, but you're not healthy because you're not putting nutrition in the body. Okay, so I hope that this was fun to think about and understand, and I hope that you come back and you learn more about it. So this is our bonus episode. We still have more episodes to come. So I hope that you have a great day. I look forward to talking with you next time, and always take good care. Bye-bye.